There's some big subadult male lion, and hopefully we'll get into position just on the other side of him so we can see him better. So far he's not reacting to us. He's had a few vehicles viewing him, so he's probably aware that. Hello Boyki, I can recognize him from behind now even. He's doing the cat thing, but he's back to us, pretending not to notice us. Magnificent, absolutely beautiful. The right time of day, the most beautiful afternoon, it's Saturday afternoon. It's just hello Boyki. Look at this golden light. Absolutely beautiful. Who would have thunk that our afternoon would end up this way? So what we're sitting with here is the young male from this local pride that we call the Black Dam Pride. He's been separated from them for some time now, almost as though he's been trying to set out on his own. He did hook up with another male lion that came in from out of nowhere, and I think it's last night was one of the first nights that they've actually split up over the last couple of weeks. They've been together for a couple of weeks now, and I think they've split up so that he can maybe try and find his way back to mom and family. Who knows, just to hook up with them and connect with them before he goes back to this big old male. Maybe he wants to go and tell mom that he's found a buddy and he's going to go off and become this big bad boy lion with his buddy, and they're going to form a coalition and they're going to take over the world. But he's quite a remarkable young male. I mean, he's big. His footprints still belie his age because his footprints are still quite small, but in size, in stature, he's quite big. But his mane, I think it's his mane of all things that belies his age, because he's wearing the mane of about a 4-year-old lion. He's barely 3 years old himself. In fact, if we look really closely, we can see the color of his nose. It's still quite pink. Welcome to Africa, and Africa's so-called king of beasts. Aaron had a question. Okay, that's more of a technical thing from Clancy. I think I'll get to that later, Clancy. Heights and weights and measures about our signal range. Interesting that it's actually lying in the sun. Been quite a warm day, but perhaps typical of the cats this time of the day in the winter months. They know that it's going to get cold tonight, so use the warmth while you can. So what is interesting is that he's at that age where he's no longer really it's not that he's not allowed to hang out with mom and the cubs. It's not that he's being pushed away. It's just a case of his body clock, everything about him is a young male lion. There's nothing really for him hanging around with mom and the cubs and the sisters. And it is that age where he's got to strike out on his own. He's got to gain a lot of experience. He's got to encounter other males and have fights and gain strength and get scarred and get injured, and he's got to go through the trials and tribulations of a sub-adult before he can find his own way. And we were hoping that perhaps he had joined forces with this rogue male that had come. We can't call him a rogue. Let's call him the nomadic male that had walked into Thornybush. and the two of them, we found them feeding on a zebra. One of the first times we found them together. In fact, we were lucky. We were super lucky because we had seen him on his own for some time, and we were all speculating, what is happening with him? Why is he calling all the time? Why isn't his mother answering? And then after a while he went back, he joined them on a giraffe kill. And then after the giraffe kill, it was almost as though that was a goodbye, and he left them and he joined up then with this male. They killed a zebra together. Like, if that wasn't a bonding exercise, I mean, gee, kill a zebra with a male lion, that's surely got to set you up for life as your buddy, your best buddy. But the fact that they're not together right now means absolutely nothing. It could be temporary, it could be any number of things. We were looking for their tracks earlier, and I found the tracks of the other male. He is considerably bigger than this boy, so his tracks are very, very different. And so I know that he was heading south. In fact, he's headed towards camp. And I wouldn't be surprised. That's what I heard yesterday morning down near camp. It was him calling somewhere in the riverbed. Yes, Aaron, go ahead. See, I put him to sleep with my talking. Well, that's an interesting question, actually. I mean, this is one of the wonderful things about being able to do what we do. Rachel, sitting over there in the US somewhere, how do you tell the difference between male and female lion tracks? And how can you tell how old a lion is? Well, Rachel, for the first few years of their life, it's actually not that easy to tell the difference between male and female tracks because they're the same size. I mean, young males are up to 2-3 years old are pretty much the same size as their sisters. They only really start getting heavier. In fact, only in the last 6 months or so that he's probably been getting heavier than his sisters. So his tracks are starting to get a little bit bigger. But from now on, obviously, his tracks are going to be much bigger. If it's easy enough to explain it this way. Most men, humans, their hands are bigger than most women, humans. Yes, it's a generalization, but it's most. Very, very few women have bigger hands than men, and by the same token, very few lionesses have bigger paws than male lions. Telling their age is a different story. Telling their age, you have to use a combination of different factors. And obviously knowing the pride and knowing their history helps a lot, because in a lot of places like here in Thornybush and other places where there have been lodges for the last 20 or 30 years, they've actually followed the families, they've actually followed the whole family trees of the local prides of lion. So it's with some accuracy that they're able to tell the ages of these cats, and it's using that accuracy to find features on the cats that let us know more or less how old these animals are, or what features are evident at a particular age. And one of the most important things that we use in gauging the age of a cat is the color of its nose. And it just happens to be that he's hiding his nose right now. But young cats, all of the lion, leopard, to some extent cheetah, pink nose, that triangular part at the bottom. They're born for the first couple of years, it's pink. From about the age of 3, it starts getting a little bit spotty around the edges with darker spots. At 4, they start getting to be like blotches. At around 5 years old, it starts getting to be more like a marbled appearance. And then at age 6, it's when the nose starts going black. So by the time they're 7 years old, they've got a black nose. Don't ask me why and how that works. I have no idea. Pigment, aging, maybe it's like, I don't know, it's just aging. It's an aging thing. He's perfect proof that the size of the mane doesn't really correlate with age, because a lot of that has got to do with genetics, but certainly more of the determination of how the mane grows has all got to do with the area that these lions are in, and over time, over millions of years, that has dictated genetics. So you find areas like some parts of East Africa where there hasn't been the natural selection that has required bigger manes, or let's put it this way, natural selection hasn't included sexual selection by females, where the females have been choosy about what color or how big the mane is before they allow a male to mate with them or to take over the territory. Where those factors are not a key factor in mate selection for the females, you actually don't even get manes in some of the males. In fact, I've known adult males of 8 years old that have got not even a fraction of what this male has got around his neck up in Salou, and then of course there is a squirrel. And of course there is the famous maneless male lion up in Savo, the so-called man-eaters of Savo. They didn't have manes, they were both maneless males. So depends on the area. Kalahari and the Serengeti have manes. Their manes are big and black, and it's very evident that the females actually select the males with bigger and blacker manes. Kind of the tall, dark, handsome stranger syndrome, where dark is best. Go ahead, Aaron. Done. Coughing my lungs out. Not really. Don wanting to know how many prides there are in Thornybush and how many lions within the pride. Well, there are two main prides. I mean, there's the southern pride down here in the southern region of Thornybush that we call the Black Dam Pride. It consists of a big old female known as the Black Dam female, his mother, by the way, and you're going to start calling now, squirrel. Cat's been there all afternoon. I think somebody wants to come, and I've had the radio off. So it's the mother of him and his two sissies. He's been there, but he's only just started now. He's been watching, but now he starts coloring. Okay. I'll have to get back to that in a bit. What's up to the dam? Bye. What do you know? Sitting in the shade. Maybe we would hear earlier, we would have caught it in the sun. Somebody was driving right down through the water. Who would do such a thing? But I don't think they get much. I mean, I've been asked with regards to all the animals whether they get thicker coats or not. I'm actually not sure, because it's hard to tell when you only observe them and you never touch them. And in cold weather they change the texture of their coats by the equivalent of us getting goosebumps. the hair raises up and it increases the air in between the hairs and helps to insulate the body better. So I really don't know, Leanne. Something you can find out for me, and willing to learn from you for a change. If you can find out for me, but be careful here, because maybe in some places like the Kalahari and the Serengeti, and places where it does really get cold in winter, maybe that's different. So it'd be interesting to find out about the animals here in Kruger, and in particular the lion here of the Kruger region, whether their coats vary during the winter months. I refuse to guess at an answer, so I'm just saying I don't know. Go ahead. Norm. I think Norm's in Tennessee. Norm's asking if a lion has any enemies. Well, yes, they do. Norm, actually, lions do have a few enemies. Obviously, the older they get, and the difference between males and females makes that is a huge thing. But lion, first of all, lion are their own enemies. Lion is one of the only things that control the populations of lion, and it's that interaction, it's that whole dynamics about lion controlling prides and controlling territories, and with new males taking over, killing cubs and sometimes killing females. So generally lion are perhaps their own enemies. Unfortunately, and this is a huge, very big, unfortunately, us humans have become a very big factor in their lives, and we humans are destroying lions at an alarming rate. We think that they're farmable animals to be just exploited, so yes, we're destroying the lion population of Africa. Natural enemies, hyena to some extent. Hyena will kill cubs if they find them. If lioness has got cubs and she goes off and she goes hunting, she leaves the cubs behind. If a leopard or anything else, if a leopard, buffalo, elephant, hyena, other lions, they find lion cubs, especially little ones, they're likely to kill them. So yes, there are a number of enemies of lion as youngsters, as cubs, and then obviously as they get older and they live within an established pride, it changes the dynamics a lot, because then they don't have the same sort of level of predation. But that is when they become their own worst enemies, and that lion fight, and they're likely to kill each other in fighting for territory and access to prey and access to territory. And it's not unusual for a lone lioness or a lone lion to be cornered by a pack of hyena and torn to shreds. That happens, they're enemies. So the answer, yes, most certainly. Norm? Lions are not immune. They're not the kings that everybody makes them out to be. Disney and everywhere else, the lion is the king of the jungle. First of all, we don't even have jungle, but second of all, lion is not king. Lion is confined to his territory. In fact, the lionesses are confined to their territory, which is actually, they give the male impression that he's the one that rules their territory, and yes, he does. He defends it from other males, and he ensures that the offspring that he has procured from those produced from those females, he ensures their survival by fighting off other males. But ultimately, they're confined to a specific area. If you want a true king of African bushveld, there's just no question. The elephant. No doubt about it. He can go anywhere he wants. everything moves out of his way. And he knows it. What beautiful life. What's happening with that lion? I'd like to go back and see him, or I'd like him to come up here and drink some of this water. Go ahead. And do the males stay with one pride, or can they be dominant over multiple prides? It depends. And I think Christopher probably designed that question to make sure that I first started that answer with it depends, because gee, it depends on so many factors. It is unusual for a lion pride to get very, very big in the sizes of some of the mega prides of the past and some of the mega prides that still exist today. Some in Kruger up to 20, 30 lion. It's impractical for a lion pride to be so big. They need things like hippo and elephant and buffalo and giraffe on a daily basis to feed that many lions. So it's not sustainable to be in a very big pride. But prides can be big. It would take too long to list all the influencing factors on what determines the pride or the size of a pride of lion, but there are so many things that it's not really an easy question to answer. I mean, for example, you might have a situation where you have a pride with a bunch of females and they've all got cubs, and your numbers are 15, 16, even up to 20 with all the cubs. And a coalition of males come in and they kill all the cubs, and suddenly from a pride of 20 you're down to 5, back to the females. And then some of them get old and they die, or they get killed, so you're back suddenly down to 2 females. And then they're trying to struggle to raise cubs, so you might get 3 or 4 or 6 cubs. It fluctuates. I think one of the most important points that I could ever make about nature is that nothing is ever the same. Nothing ever stays the same. Thank you for that input, Hippo. That was much appreciated. Quite agreed with me. Nothing stays the same. Got a good comment from the Hippo there. And don't ask me to translate that, because it's between me and the Hippo. Sometimes prides can reach fairly large numbers, and then strange circumstances can drop the numbers down, so it varies. And as to the part of the question is whether males will father cubs in one pride and move on to another, no, that's not really possible, because they have to invest so much in not only taking over a territory, but also in establishing their dominance within that territory, improving to the females that they're dominant enough, or that they're strong enough to withhold that territory and rather withstand attack from other males. You know, females are not, they know all about this whole struggle amongst the males to with all the macho and must-own syndrome. That female lionesses won't really produce cubs until they know that the males are there to stay long enough till those cubs are at least 3 years old, like this little boy that we're just seeing now, long enough that their cubs can reach that age and not be killed by incoming males, be strong enough to look after the territory so that cubs that are born to them can be ensured survival, because it's very well known amongst lions, having had it for millions of years, that incoming males are likely to kill the cubs and take over. So in that process, females try to trick males into maintaining an allegiance, into settling down by allowing them to falsely mate with them, basically coming into a false estrus and ensuring that the males are kept interested in a way, so that they establish territory, and then if they stay, there's a good chance that they're strong enough and that they can father those cubs and they can protect those cubs until those cubs are old enough to look after themselves and they're not going to be killed by incoming males. So much goes into that, and there's such a short period of time that an adult male lion has where he can take over a territory. He can go through this grueling process of being accepted by the females and then sire his own cubs, because you've got to face it, once he sires cubs with the females, and they generally do come into estrus at the same time, once he sires cubs with those females, there's not really much for him to do in terms of his kingly duties for a couple of years, other than making sure that his offspring survives, and that is actually what he does. He'll patrol his territory, he'll vehemently defend his territory, and he'll ensure that no other males come in to take over and kill his cubs. So there's no time for him to go off and find another pride and sire some cubs from another pride and do the same thing with them. It's vital that he focuses all his energy and all of his time on a specific pride and raising the offspring that he sires and protecting them against other males, because before you know that he's a washed up old has-been and there are new kids on the block and he's got to move out. Such is the life of the lion. And they call him king, but there are kings that are overthrown all the time. And on that note, I think let's leave this grumping hippo flat on the side for us to sleep. Let's see who's with those lions. Hang on a sec. Hannes, come in. Flores, come in. Any station with Mandela in Ghana? Okay, I tried. Not like that, not through lack of trying. That's interesting, Clancy. That's quite an interesting question. Clancy in Ohio. Does diet influence the growth of horns and manes and things in African animals like it does in the white-tailed deer and the antlers of the white-tailed deer, where their diet translates into the size of their antlers? And whether that is the case in the diet of a lion and with regards to its mane, or the antelope here with regards to the size of their horns. And the answer to that is simply no. Absolutely not. I don't believe so. Since horn growth is concomitant with age, antelope, their horns are a specific size at a specific age. They have a rate of growth that is also concomitant with the growth of their bodies and the rest of their bones, because it's part of the skull. That has nothing to do with the diet. What does maybe have a lot to do with the diet is the thickness and the quality of the horny covering of the chitinous cover. Much the same as our diet translates into how well our fingernails grow. I have no doubt that the diet of the antelope translates into the quality, the health of the horny covering of the horns. And as far as lion, that's all genetics. That's all genetics. That's got nothing to. They can eat kudu and impala and giraffe and zebra till they're blue in the face. If you don't have the big genes, or rather the genes for a big mane, doesn't matter how many zebra, giraffe you eat, you ain't gonna get a big mane. You're stuck with your genes, like I am. I'm not gonna get a six-pack. I'm not going to get a Schwarzenegger body. Okay, bad example, because I suppose diet could play a role there. When I was a kid, diet could have played a role. But no, it's a short. Big old bull. Yeah, boy. Okay, relax, dude, relax. Same big old dark giraffe. Sorry, kind of caught him in that in a bit of bush that he wouldn't have been able to get through. He needed to come back into the open to feel more relaxed. Yes, hide behind the guarri bush. Wonderful. No, I can't see your legs, so I can't see you. Don't lick your nose in my general direction. Thank you, Twigger. Sorry to disturb you, Squire.